Welcome to the UK Travel Planning Podcast. Your host is the founder of the UK Travel Planning website, Tracy Collins. In this podcast, Tracy shares destination guides, travel tips, and itinerary ideas, as well as interviews with a variety of guests who share their knowledge and experience of UK travel to help you plan your perfect UK vacation. Join us as we explore the UK from cosmopolitan cities to quaint villages, from historic castles to beautiful islands, and from the picturesque countryside to seaside towns.
Hi and welcome to episode 105 of the UK Travel Planning Podcast. So this week, Doug and I had a chat about our top 10 experiences in London for 2024 that we personally love and recommend. So there's just so many things to do in London, and whenever we plan a visit, we kind of sit down and think, what are the things that we really love to do? And often some of these things we've done quite a few times, haven't we?
We certainly have.
So we thought we would just have a conversation and we'd chat with you today and just say, these are things that we love to do, and we recommend, if you've got a chance, to have a look at adding some of these into your itinerary. So the first one is probably not going to be a surprise to you if you've been listening to the podcast for a while now, is that I absolutely love the Tower of London. I highly recommend that all of you visit the Tower of London. It really is the top attraction in London to go and visit. It's such a historic castle. It is a castle, and a wonderful, wonderful day out. Give yourself at least 4 hours to visit the Tower. But for an extra special way to visit the Tower of London, you have two options. And one is the
opening ceremony,
and the other is the
closing ceremony.
So the opening ceremony, as it says, name on the tin, basically, it is the opening ceremony of the Tower of London. So you have the option to go and actually observe the ceremony as they open the tower for the day for everybody to come in. So the advantage of doing this tour in particular is that you're the first one into the Tower of London, aren't you?
That's right. As they open the doors, you walk through in the place. Well, you need it the first time. They open the doors and you walk through and there's nobody else there.
You're the first members of the general public in there. And actually, obviously, they open the gate and then everybody else can come in. But you and your small group are the only ones that are in there to witness this ceremony. So it's fantastic. And the other advantage of this is that you are there before everybody else arrives. So you can get to see the crown jewels. So we did this and we just hot-footed it over to see the crown jewels, didn't we?
We did. We were actually first in the queue.
We were first in. We actually went round the Travelator 2 or 3 times, so I had a really good look at these amazing jewels that are owned by the royal family in the UK. And you'll see after about an hour or so, the queue can be absolutely crazy, can't it?
Oh, it is, yes.
So that's an advantage of going to see the opening ceremony, but also it's a privilege to see the opening ceremony, and you can take photos of that. Now, my personal favourite is the Ceremony of the Keys, which is the closing ceremony of the Tower of London. Now, I have been very lucky to have done that twice so far, and Doug, you did that at Christmas, didn't you?
I did it at Christmas, and I have to say it was incredibly atmospheric as, the night was approaching, and It
wasn't, and there was just our small group. I think there was 12 of us in the group. It was a walk small group tour. It was fantastic. It was literally 12 of us with the yeoman warder who took us around. I also did, again, Ceremony of the Keys in the summer. Again, thoroughly enjoyed it. Obviously lighter nights then compared to the winter. But honestly, just the ability to have that one-to-one time with a yeoman warder, and you can really ask about questions like, what is it like to live in the Tower of London? I mean, it's fantastic. So you can, if you visit during the day and you have a regular ticket, you can take a free Beefeater tour. There is one kind of on the hour, but you'll find that there'll be loads and loads of people. So you can't have that kind of personal kind of question time. You can try and ask a question, but there's probably about another, a few hundred people also try and ask a question at the same time. So it's really, really busy. And I know when we did one of the trips, one of the tours with the yeoman warder, he said it's amazing that they get the chance to really answer questions about what it's like and share some information about the Tower of London that you probably wouldn't get any other way. So we love that, don't we?
It was so magical, I have to say, and be a part of that history.
Yeah, you can't take any photos, you can't take any videos. They're very, very strict about this. And this ceremony has been going on for hundreds and hundreds of years. And just the ability to take part in something which is so historic is fantastic and a real privilege, I have to say. So if you can, I know it's pricey and we often get a feedback, yes, it is pricey, but honestly, I think it's worth every penny. I would love to do, I want to meet all of the yeoman warders like that. And I've been lucky twice to have done it and had 2 different yeoman warders. So you kind of learn different things when you do that.
That's right, and they tell you about their different experiences, their own personal experiences being a yeoman warder.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's our first thing to do in London, and it's something that I always try to add into my itineraries. So this is our second on our list, and I know this is one thing that you really enjoyed doing as well, Doug.
It is, and I'll let you explain first and I'll tell you.
Okay, so we met Ollie last year from Discover Real London Black Cab Tours of the city, and we went out with Ollie before Christmas, and it just blew my mind. I just loved it. Being in a black cab, they have so many privileges in terms of driving around London. They can go down bus lanes, they can park in so many places that other cars can't get to, or buses can't get to, or hop on, hop off buses. And also just the knowledge that all of the drivers have, and it is incredible.
It is, and I'll also add on to that, Ollie's passion for what he does just comes through. His energy and his passion for the city and what he does is just incredible.
Yeah, and they offer lots of different tours. So they can even pick you up from the airport, and then you can have a tour on your way into London and around London before you get dropped off at your hotel. They have tours, the introductory tours of the city, so you can go and see the main highlights. They have hidden gems tours, so that they'll show you some of the places that not everybody knows about. And we loved it, didn't we? Because we saw things that we had no idea about.
That's absolutely true, yes. And if you push your time, to have a tour, your vacation starting as soon as you arrive is incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know just Ollie and his team are fantastic. They are all black cab drivers. So you'll be sitting in a black cab driving around London, and they're also tour guides as well. So not only do you get driven around in a black cab and you get to park up, and we parked up about 5 meters from the entrance of Buckingham Palace, didn't we?
We did.
If you want to listen to Ollie, if you listen to episode 86, we chat with Ollie of Discover Real London, so you can find out all about Ollie and the company and the tours that they offer. Yeah, and I've got a fantastic picture of myself and Ollie standing in front of Westminster Abbey, which is just, it's amazing. Honestly, he parked in front of Westminster Abbey. There's a red bus in the background. There's a red phone box, and there's myself and Ollie standing in front of the black cab. I mean, as I said, how many icons can you get in the photo, as well as obviously myself and Ollie?
That's right, and it's a great way to make memories from your holiday.
Yeah, and that kind of takes me on, I guess, to our third experience, and I will say that these are no particular order, and that is having a photo shoot. So we've had a photo shoot. We've had about 4 or 5 now, I think, with Dommy from Scale End Studio. Okay, so I was really nervous the first time I had a photo shoot with Dommy, but every time since, I've just felt more and more relaxed. What about you?
I was nervous every time, but Dommy does put you at ease. She's such a lovely, energetic person.
She is, and she takes wonderful photos. So we have, if you actually look on the homepage of the uktravelplanning.com and londontravelplanning.com websites, you'll see a couple of photos of myself and Doug that were taken by Dommy during our London photo shoots. Now, having the photo shoot is just a fantastic way to remember your trip.
That's right, and I'm not particularly photogenic, but Dommy really goes out of the way to make me feel special, and it was wonderful.
And we have some lovely, lovely photos. So we had some photos last year taken in Covent Garden at Christmas.
Oh, that was lovely. That was very special.
And
very Christmassy.
It was so nice. And then last spring, I had some pictures taken in Notting Hill of the cherry blossom and the wisteria. And those are my favourite photos I've ever had taken of me. Absolutely. It's such a beautiful photogenic area anyway. But it was just lovely. And I absolutely love those photos. And then we've had photos taken in front of Big Ben, Westminster Abbey, the London Eye, the Tower of London.
And multiple telephone boxes.
No, that's true. Yeah, telephone boxes. And if you want to have a photo taken in front of one of those iconic red phone boxes, I do have an article about the best places to find them. And I recently did a podcast, episode 94, with Dommy, where we talked all about the best places for photo shoots in London. So our number 4 on our list is not to just stay in London.
Most definitely. The UK weather being what it is, if the weather forecast in London is not great that day, you can always consider a train trip out of London where the weather may be much better.
But also, it's worth going to some of the fantastic places that you can easily get to from London by train or on a tour. We recently released 2 episodes all about the best day trips from London by train. So episodes 96 and 97. If you take a listen to those, we talk about our 10 favourite destinations from London or easy destinations from London by train. That's the best way to explain it. We will actually be adding more to that list because we are conscious that there are other places that we missed out. But honestly, there are so many to go to.
It is. In those podcasts, we looked at places around 2 hours from London.
That's right. And so if you're in London long enough, I mean, if you're there for 2 days, obviously I wouldn't say take a day trip out of London, but if you're there 3, 4, 5 days, also it will get you outside of the city and go and explore other parts of the UK. Even if it's only a couple of hours from London, you will experience something completely different.
That's right, yes. London is just an epicentre, and it's further away, things change.
Absolutely. Yeah. So our 5th experience is to take a food tour, right? So we're going to talk about British food because British food has a bad reputation. And I know because I've been on food tours and people have been asked, like, what do you think of British food? And people kind of go beige or tasteless. But actually, we've done a few food tours recently, and I will defend British food because I enjoy quite a lot of British food. And we've taken some brilliant food tours recently. We did one before Christmas of Borough Market,
which was absolutely incredible. Not just the food, the guy doing the tour as well. He's passionate for the area he was born and lived in, but the food was just magnificent.
Yeah, we tried all sorts of different foods, didn't we? We had fish and chips. We had humble crumble, which was my favourite.
And oysters?
Oh, you tried oysters, which I didn't particularly want to try. In fact, I didn't try.
No, I had yours. Thank you very much.
We had, what did you have? Sausage rolls. We had, can you remember that? Oh, we had a bacon and egg sandwich. Oh, that was delicious.
That was delicious.
So a food tour is a great way for you to try some British foods. Another food tour that I did that I absolutely love, and Doug hasn't had the opportunity to do yet.
No, I haven't.
No, it was a pub tour that I did, a small group tour with Walks last year. And I absolutely loved it because you found out about the history of some of these City of London pubs, which are, hundreds of years old. And also we got to try out some fantastic pub food. So I had the best Scotch egg I have ever had in my life. Honestly, it was delicious. So Doug hasn't done that tour yet. So it was delicious. So another way to experience the food, and a very popular experience, I'm going to kind of add this in still at number 5, is to experience an afternoon tea.
Most definitely. And there's so many to choose from.
There are so many, honestly. You can do a traditional afternoon tea, or you could go for a themed afternoon tea. It really, really is up to you what sort of thing that you want to experience. And they're pretty pricey. You can go from kind of slightly more affordable to the very expensive, depending on what you want. I personally really like the themed afternoon teas. We had a fantastic one at the Shard, didn't we?
We did, and Peter Pan one.
It was a Peter Pan afternoon tea, and that was lovely. And also we got the fantastic experience of the afternoon tea with the views from the Shard. Sure, yeah. So that was lovely. So yeah, consider an afternoon tea. I have got an entire article all about different afternoon teas available in London. I will put a link to that in the show notes. One thing to mention about an afternoon tea is that they are really filling.
That's right. Well, the assumption is it's a nice light afternoon tea, but there's lots of it. There's lots of sandwiches, lots of sweet savouries, and you walk away from there actually quite full.
Absolutely true, yes. You've got all your sandwiches, you've got the sweets, you've got a scone, you've got cream, you've got jam, you've got tea. It really is a full-on feast, really is the best way to describe it. Yeah. So there's an article on the website all about the different afternoon teas in London, and if you want to find more out about the different food tours, I'd recommend listening to episode 91, where I talk to Charlie from Devour Food Tours in London. So number 6 is my personal choice when we're deciding, we kind of chose a couple each, and that is the Jubilee Galleries at Westminster Abbey, because I think it's often overlooked by people. And I know we're asked about Westminster Abbey all the time. So the Jubilee Galleries are part of Westminster Abbey. You actually have to take a lift up to get to them, or you take the stairs. So it gives you actually a fantastic view over Westminster Abbey inside. But it houses some of Westminster Abbey treasures. So it's worth going to have a look. I'm not going to disclose what they are because I really want to encourage people to go and have a look. You can't take photos when you're up there, and you have to pay an extra £5 per adult to access the galleries, but I'd highly recommend that you do include it into any trip that you have to Westminster Abbey. And you haven't been up there yet,
I haven't, no, but you've told me a lot about it, and I certainly want to include it next time.
Yeah, definitely. So I'd recommend that. So that's a little bit of a kind of one that I don't think we hear often mentioned, so I wanted to include it. So number 7 is to include at least one museum, really, if you can, into your itinerary. London has some of the world's best museums. For me, my personal favourite is the V&A. I always encourage everybody to go to the V&A museum. The cast courts there are absolutely fabulous. Again, I'm not going to say too much about them, but the cast courts are fabulous.
I know, you do talk about it ever such a lot.
I know, because I just love them. And also there you've got is an exhibition of fashion through the ages. And always, if you go to the V&A, go to the cafe. It's an absolutely beautiful Art Deco cafe. It was the first museum cafe in the world, and it is beautiful. What about you, Doug, when it comes to museums?
Within London, I absolutely love the Churchill War Rooms, which used to be known as the Cabinet War Rooms. But the Churchill War Rooms, it is the Second World War bunker. House the UK government, including Churchill, and it is incredible. I have spent hours and hours there, haven't I?
You have, definitely.
And the multiple times I've visited there, and you find something different to read or take something different from it on every visit. Now that's within London. Outside London, I also love Bletchley Park, home of the Codebreakers. That's at Bletchley, which is about 30 minutes outside London, which you take the train from London Euston. And the Bletchley Park is right next to the station, so it's easy to visit.
And we're going to do a whole podcast episode all about kind of World War II attractions, museums to see in the London area. So that'll be coming up soon. So those are museums. Obviously, there are so many to choose from. I do have a list of the different top museums in London. There's obviously the British Museum. There's a Natural History Museum. There's a Science Museum. There are lots of smaller museums too.
That's it. There's basically something for everybody in the family.
Yeah, and a lot of the museums in London are free as well. But do just check, because some of the smaller museums may charge. But museums like the Natural History Museum, V&A, Science Museum, and the Imperial War Museum, they don't charge. So number 8 is to take a ride down the Thames. Now, whether you decide to book a boat tour or whether you take an Uber boat, taking a ride down the Thames is just a very special experience because it gives you a different perspective on London. You're away from the bustling traffic and the people, and you can see the bridges and a lot of the attractions from the water.
It is, and it also gives you a nice little rest as well from walking.
That's absolutely true. So you could combine number 8, taking a ride down the Thames in an Uber boat, with our number 9 choice, which is a visit to Greenwich. Now, Greenwich is one of my favourite places to visit in London, and it may not be the first place that springs to mind if it's your first trip to the city, but we'll do encourage you, if you're in London long enough, you have got 3-4 days, to consider visiting Greenwich.
That's right, for half a day or a full day, because there's enough to do down there.
Oh, there's lots to see in Greenwich. Easy, you can spend a day there.
Yeah, and we took a picnic, I think, last time we were there as well, because it was a lovely summer's day.
That's right, and there's so many things to see in Greenwich. You've got the Prime Meridian, you've got the Royal Observatory, you've got the Tulip Staircase in the Queen's House, you've got the beautiful Painted Hall, which I would really recommend that you add into your itinerary.
And not forgetting the Cutty Sark.
Yeah, Cutty Sark is there. So there's just a lot to see and do in Greenwich. It also, again, is taking you out of the main kind of hustle bustle of London itself. Just a little ride down. It takes about an hour on the Uber boat to get to Greenwich. There's also lots of places to eat in Greenwich as well. So there's a market that you can go to. There's some fantastic pubs. And it's easy to get back into central London from Greenwich, so you can either do that by Uber boat or you can take the
Docklands Light Railway.
Docklands Light Railway, so she'll get you back into central London. So again, highly recommend it. If you're there during cherry blossom season as well, as Greenwich Park is really famous for its beautiful cherry blossoms. And number 10 is basically to experience some form of London transport. So we're talking about
the iconic black cabs,
a bus, so a red London bus, or
an underground train.
Or the tube. So try to experience at least one of those. I mean, you're not going to be able to walk all over London anyway because it's too big. You will probably experience the tube anyway if you're going to be travelling around London because it is the easiest way to get around. But why not hop on a bus and take a black cab? You know, the black cab drivers study for years, like Ollie, to pass the knowledge, which means that their knowledge of the streets of London is unsurpassed. They have to do a very strict test. It's always fun to ask a London black cab driver if they've had anybody famous in their cab, because I'm sure you'll get a story or two.
That's right, yeah. They've always got a story to tell, and they're very confident people.
Absolutely. So that gives you our top 10 experiences in London that we personally love.
That's right. I mean, there's so many more we could add on to that.
But these are, when we'd sat down and we said, obviously there's so much to do in London, but what is it that we personally love to do when we're sitting and thinking about our itinerary? So obviously we want to see those iconic sites. So we can do that on a walk and tour. We can do that with Ollie and Discover Real London. We can jump in the back of a black cab and do that. We could do a hop on, hop off bus tour. There's lots of ways to incorporate some of those main sites. But if you're going to do that, if you're going to go to the Tower of London, consider doing something special like the opening or closing ceremony. If you're going to go to Westminster Abbey, look at going to the Jubilee galleries, explore the different museums in London, take a food tour, experience some British food, have an afternoon tea, take a day trip, go and explore some more of the UK, get out of London, have a photo shoot with Dommy and have those memories put on canvas for the rest of your life. There's just so much to do. London really is a fantastic city.
It really is. A lot to offer.
So that is it really for episode 105 of the UK Travel Planner podcast. You can find links to all of the different places and the different tours that we recommended in this episode in the show notes at uktravelplanning.com/105. But I guess that just leaves us to say until next week, Doug. Happy UK travel planning.